Hello and welcome to the final of the GG.Bet Cologne Invitational. We have got the final we all expected. It's G2 taking on Liquid for a spot at ESL ONE Colonge. This one's going to be very fun to watch. I think these are the two teams who wanted to get here and they've reached the final. A little bit of a hiccup nearly there from Liquid, but they get it done.
I mean, well, actually both teams had a bit of a scare to the team that, well, Liquid nearly had to take into overtime there on the third map, Force. And again, very sad ending to how it all played out for them towards the tail end of Inferno. Obviously, a bit of tech issues striking, and that was sad times, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles every now and again. And Liquid, I guess, for the better of it, probably more likely to put a dent into things if they make it to Cologne as we get into the map veto here. And both these teams have 2 set permabans, so you would expect Train to go out on the side of Liquid, and you would expect Mirage to be promptly removed from G2 Esports. After that, it's a little bit more of a free-balling exercise in terms of figuring out where the teams want to go. But there they are, the 2 permabans from each side. And I don't know, like judging from what we've seen, Overpass seems like it could be a very likely affair. I mean, there we go. Liquid feeling pretty good about what they've performed so far. I think, if anything, they want to take from that 4 series is that Overpass is working for us.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen them have a very convincing win now, and G2 going for the nuke pick.
Oh, that's a bit of a spicy one. We've seen Liquid have some struggles on it already in this tournament. Dust2 taking out, and that means that we have still Inferno and Vertigo in the map pool. And G2 are going to be the ones to decide. We haven't seen them play Vertigo yet, so it might be a likely ban here, but okay. I mean, if you're going to push all the eggs, you know, or put all your eggs into one basket, put all the chips on bread or something like that, I guess Vertigo as a third decider could be a pretty spicy one. I did not see that. If this could be like the ultimate, like, again, you know, the saving strat meme is a pretty popular one, right?
Yeah.
Saving strats for the major, always a good thing. G2, I mean, they obviously want to make it to Cologne. If they've, you know, held this as a bit of an ace in their hold, then that would have been really fun to watch. I have not seen them play Vertigo much at all. I have seen Vertigo being played by Liquid. That's been looking pretty solid. Twist, again, said multiple times that he really enjoys playing the map. So that's a pretty wild one for G2 to let slip through.
Do you think we're going to get to the 3 maps, though?
That is, I guess, the different question, right? Again, we've seen Liquid having a fair few issues dealing with, I guess, assumed weaker opponents that we probably would have expected them to see 2-0, Force being one of those. So there's a chance, but again, just if we're looking at the maps as they are, going into Nuke, going into Overpass, I would favor Liquid going into both of those.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing with Liquid as well is the teams they've kind of had hiccups against or even lost to in the case of Spirit, there are 2 teams they probably aren't ever going to be playing that often. So they're probably not used to the play style. There's going to be a little bit of a hiccup there. And so G2 should be a team they're a bit more comfortable playing against.
Yeah, no, you definitely expect. So again, you get up to a certain... There's a very big difference from how Tier 1 teams play Counter-Strike and how Tier 2, Tier 2.5/3 teams play Counter-Strike, and just what kind of mindset they have about it and what is... well, just essentially the most efficient way of playing versus the best teams in the world, right? So if you're very conditioned to playing just the best teams in the world, which Liquid are, then yeah, that's a bit of a trap you can fall into. So G2 should fit them more in that sense, but obviously it means also as well that you go up against better individuals that put a better of a fight that can also turn rounds on its head much quicker. And we've seen Shoxy and Kenny looking pretty solid so far throughout this tournament, and that's a really good sign because that's a bit of a continuation at what we saw in Dallas.
Especially today as well. Like, Shox is playing that sort of lurker role, very lone wolf-esque, and he was on his own a lot of the time, making a lot of big plays. Kenny S obviously on the AWP doing Kenny S things. But the interesting part for me in the video is, like, Vertigo coming in. I think if we just seen Liquid play on Inferno against Force, it didn't look amazing. I mean, there was definitely a weakness there. That
is definitely true. I mean, we didn't expect it to ever get that close. And again, who knows what would have happened if Monster didn't have technical issues towards the end of it. You know, it's a 2v2 situation. They have utility. They have everything going for them. And they've been on a bit of a hot streak, you know, towards the end of it. Could have very easily still be sitting here talking about the OT that we're currently, you know, doing with Liquid and Force. So yeah, not indomitable by any means, and maybe that comes into play, I guess, in a sense. But if we're looking at the Inferno from G2 as well, they also had the benefit of the pleasure of playing Force there, and that was a quadruple overtime loss So they've also had their fair share of hiccups there.
Yeah, definitely. I think Vertigo, obviously, has been changed a little bit. I think it's much better. This version is starting to look a lot better. I feel the A-bomb site's a bit more playable. We're starting to see actually a lot more, not more playable, but it's more...
less of smoke diffuses kind of a thing.
Less smokes on the bomb site, plant, that's it.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see B get used a little bit more. We're seeing teams go towards that side of the map, which is good to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've seen some variation finally coming out and playing. Actually, the team's tinkering about just figuring out how to take control over mid, what they can do with that. I think the one instance of Vertigo we've had so far in this tournament was Vertigo versus, or Liquid playing it versus Spirit. That ended up being a bit of a one-sided affair, so Liquid figured out they could pretty much just go A and win rounds. So they went A and won rounds. But no, if you ever make it to a third, I'm really excited to see what G2 might have planned for that map.
Yeah, well, the first map is not going to be Vertigo. That's definitely not going to be that map. It's going to be Overpass, and we've seen how dominant Liquid were on it already.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen them lose the first map, Mirage 16-8, but then they come into the second map, and they just ball out of control.
Yeah, it's it really seems to be like a home run map for them at this point. And again, I think the A duo of Elysian and Nitro is working fantastically. Now we've also seen NAF being pulled over there quite a few times to have aggressive setups and so on. And they just seem to have really solid synergy between them all on that map. To the point where they don't really feel, or it doesn't really feel like they ever get truly tested. But G2 might be, I guess, the answer to those kind of I guess questions we have surrounding Liquid's validity on Overpass, because as it stands right now, we do feel like that's a map that they don't really lose much.
Yeah, well, we actually seen G2 on Overpass as well today, and they were kind of throwing the aggression on the CT side as well. They looked rather confident on it, so perhaps we've got a game on our hands on that one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, we're going to be jumping into it right off the bat. Bit of a pause to just make sure everyone's on the server, everyone's ready. No early starts, and preferably everyone having a working internet connection. That's always something you'd love to see.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of need that to play games. So let's see if I think it's G2, because Amadex, Shox, and Lucky, they haven't purchased anything.
Yeah. Whether this is like a deep, in-depth conversation they want to have before the game gets started, I mean, who knows? But yeah, you would assume the problem lies with G2. Hopefully it's nothing more than just a team speak issue, that kind of a thing, because again, both teams have all 5 players on the server. So it shouldn't be too long before we get going underway. And looking at this, do you have any, I guess, yeah, like, well, what are your opinions on Liquid G2 going into Overpass? Are you still going to side with Liquid? Do you think that they are
I think you got
head and shoulders above G2? Or
maybe just shoulders.
Yeah? Just shoulder height?
Yeah, because we've definitely seen Liquid sort of show weakness at times in this tournament, but I think on Overpass it shouldn't really be much of a problem for them. I think they'll obviously win this series. I have to pick them as the favorites. I think anybody who with a brain has to do that, right?
Yeah, no, I think the most people, again, obviously you're allowed to be a G2 fan, but there's also a lot, you're also allowed to be a realist.
Yeah.
And I think there's a fair amount of, I think there's a majority that want to see Liquid in Cologne, obviously. Premier Tournament, one of the absolute highlights of the Counter-Strike calendar. And it just wouldn't be right if the #1 team in the world wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, though, all the Frenchies have managed to buy up. It took them a little bit of time, but they got the shopping cart out of there. So away we go. Dominic doing some initial damage to NAF.
Well, Twist trying to take a long-range fight against Kenny S, currently positioned in the toilets, but it's a long fight coming in for Amanek. He's starting to fight towards Lon, but decides to go back in towards the toilets.
You love this position in the pistol round in their semi-final matchup.
Yeah.
Got 3 kills off of it.
Yeah, definitely a big performance from Amanek in this one, but he's finished off by Twist. The opening kill goes towards Liquid. Kenny S under a hell of a lot of pressure, pulls his knife and gets stopped by Elish. So good stuff here from Liquid, not really being tested whatsoever. And Jax is on his own over towards B. So, I mean, that's as good as it gets, really, from Liquid, unless Jax somehow walks into this one.
Yeah, we learned about this with making guarantees in the last map.
Yeah.
Not doing that again. Still a chance for Jax. Obviously, a bit of an issue with Bomb going down. That means he has now 35 seconds to his name. Now he doesn't even have a chance as Elige disposes of him. Didn't have a defuse kit, and obviously quite the mountain to climb up there if you wanted to bring G2 back in that. As we see the odds from GG.Bet, obviously the name partner of this Invitational, Liquid at 1.23 odds to take this map, and G2 3.88. And yeah, that's kind of more back to normality. We were a little bit surprised by how close Force were able to make the odds versus Liquid, and I mean, they definitely earned that.
definitely was fluctuating between the different maps. So we would start with, you know, a heavy favorite towards Liquid. Go on to the, then suddenly it was just favoring fours. We went on to the second map, and by a landslide favoring Liquid. So
yeah, that was pretty one-sided stuff.
yeah, definitely fluctuating here. But this round, I think Liquid should have this one in the bag. It's only the pistols here for G2, no investment, but a kill comes in from Lucky and Amanek. So Liquid definitely losing a couple of players, but Nitro able to step up, and finally he's dropped by Shox, but Elige is there to reply. So last man standing is Amanek, but quite significant damage done there from the USPs.
Can't really hate on the result there for G2. Might have a few corrections to point out for Naf about how to use the Galil, but sure he's got that under cover. Realizes what he did wrong. In any case, it's not going to go back to it. Yeah, well, I guess, suppose. It's still better than buying a FAMAS, let's be honest, but that's not really an option on the T side. Here we go. Krieg out on Nitro as well. We've seen what him and players like Elige can do with that weapon. And again, Team Liquid just seem to be that team that elevates a little bit extra once they get one of those rifles in their hand.
Well, Elige, I don't know if he spotted the player crossing over the top with the smoke. I don't think he did. Amanek going to go for the peek. Eventually realizes he has to fall back inside the toilet. So Liquid force him away. And they've got a little bit of control here towards Party early.
Wow. Kenny's going to hang out. Kenny still using that M4 silenced. Couldn't afford an op, sadly, for him. Still going to be good for one kill. That's Stewie to go down. Quick return, though, from Twist. So status quo in terms of advantages. There's Liquid. Got water control, and Jax goes for peek. It's a tough battle to win there with Nitro on the height. Pretty much only got feet to shoot at.
Got bulletproof shoes.
Wow. Not fair. There you go, though. Liquid decided to slow things down. They've gotten the man advantage. They don't necessarily want to run into a trap here. Just want to make sure they have all their avenues covered. You can see that Nitro's currently watching behind, making sure that they're not getting an early backstab as they want to move in towards Monster and Short.
Well, things are falling apart for G2 on the Amanek and Shox left. It will be one kill for Twist again onto Shox, leaving Amanek on his own, going in from behind. This is going to be very difficult indeed. No kit, no utility to try and force them off the bomb site. So at this point, probably just setting up for a couple of exits, allowing G2 to go up to 3.
Best he can hope for in this situation, keep the economy of Team Liquid honest, and outside of that, maintain his own weaponry. Because he's taking gradually more and more of a passive stance here. So G2 with a little bit back and forth. Team Liquid is going to get the better of that. That is usually the case also if you have T-sides trading efficiently. Lee's just going to sneak under the scope of Amanek to close him out. So no losses, or no additional losses on the side of Liquid, and G2 get wiped out. Sitting around 3K. Again, we've had some instances with a couple of teams in this invitational so far, G2 being one of them, Halloween is another, where they've had a tendency to invest just a little bit too much every now and again, to the point where Kenny might not get an op, or you have to run around with glass cannon, that kind of affair. So hopefully they'll have reeled it in. Going up against Liquid, they should know that having an activated Kenny S is a pretty vital ingredient to being successful here.
Yeah, well, Twist is activated as well. He's over towards the B-bomb site, looking for that early pick in from Short. He will not get it, so decide to fall back and play a little bit more passively.
Man, that was the kind of play that was so efficient versus Force. Saw Jerry getting caught out and both double off investments. Well, flash over from Jax. It's not going to pan out. Even though Twist does get his bell rung, and Nap tries to be the salvaging hero. It's not going to be that successful, but luckily there's plenty of players on the side of Liquid to deal with it. But Shox has found Stewie. So all of a sudden, man advantage lies with the French, and two remaining Liquid players, Elige and Nitro. They haven't made it up to the bomb site. They could get a bomb plant down here also without too much pressure, but they don't really have eyes on everyone.
Well, G2, this is a great opportunity for them. But the only problem is I can see here is this would encourage them to force buy more, but we'll see if this happens. Nitro pulls it off, Elige will get the damage done, and that'll be 4-0. Team Liquid off to a hot start on Overpass. Exactly what they would have wanted, and exactly what we kind of predicted. Yeah, and we saw what they did once they got this kind of a start versus Force. It was just no stopping them. Bit of an avalanche that got out of control, and finally we ended up with, what, 16-3 as a total scoreline. Definitely no bad feed, and you don't want to get, or don't want to let Team Liquid feel too comfortable about anything, really, even though it is their map pick. So
We'll see what it comes to, though, what G2 can actually do.
Well, Kenny's got an op. He's going towards middle early. He's wanting to pick off a player, but will not be able to capitalize and has to fall away. So good to see that Kenny's going for those confident peaks. We've seen him earlier, having a lot of success on them.
Yeah, we do need that. I'm curious to see if we're going to see Amanek playing that kind of forward monster position as well, which you saw him catch out a fair few Force players with. Time again. As long as G2 can play their, it's cliche as it sounds, their own game, and hit their shots, they might be within a chance here to stir up Liquid a little bit.
I mean, that's the winning formula, really. Hitting your shots and playing your game.
I mean, if we are to believe, you know, any team that wins ever, that is pretty much what everyone should be doing.
They just don't want to give away a whole lot.
Yeah.
Stewie is going to take away Jack's early pick here for Liquid, although Nitro, he'll recover well. Amanek finished off.
Got caught off by the quick dink through the wall there, but yeah, as you said, nicely recovered. That leaves Kenny under a lot of pressure here. So you're just going to duck out to a more passive position. As Stewie just decided to do the opposite. He's going to go on the aggressive over towards B, and that might just force a rotation. You can see Kenny already peering over there, and G2 are just getting, well, bitten off on both ends.
Well, Kenny will find Stewie, so there is a save avenue, but the bomb still has not been planted, and it's been pulled back into a doable situation. What is this? Kenny S just moving in. There's the no-scope coming through, the quick-scope going for the second. Oh my god, Kenny S. That's a quad kill overall in the round, and what a play from Kenny. You thought that was a done deal. Liquid had that one in the bag, but no, Kenny. Oh, wait. Oh, my God.
He wanted it otherwise, that's for sure. Using that op as a battering ram into the upper bomb site. Well, if we're going to get that kind of a Kenny, this could become a really interesting matchup. That is exactly what you want to see, and you want him to feel a lot of confidence in this kind of a matchup. Again, we talk about it all the time. Liquid, not necessarily a team with a natural opper, not a specialist in any means, and Kenny is pretty much the epitome of an op specialist. So he could potentially wreak havoc. You see, these are not easy shots.
No, this is actually incredible. It came out of nowhere as well. That was just nuts.
Wish I could quick scope like this.
Yeah, they're so fast they look like no scopes.
Yeah. There we have it. Kenny just getting into this game early on, getting started the right way. That is exactly what G2 needs. So, yeah, if you were ever worried about that initial peak that he missed out on aggressively, it was going to deter him in the future. I think that just instilled all the confidence he needs for the rest of the half.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. Kenny S, he'll need to have that level throughout this game if G2 want to topple Liquid. And Liquid are sent back to the half-buy. Upgraded pistols, Kevlar 2 players. They'll leave as much money in the bank as possible, while also getting enough investment into this to make it potent. Amanek in his favorite position in the bathrooms.
Well, does have a FAMAS still. It puts him at a little bit of a disadvantage. Not the ideal weapon, well, for any situation, but Kenny eyeing out an opportunity to get a kill or two. Amanek's going to be willing to open the show.
Yeah, all the mass kills coming his way. Kenny S able to collect one in the AWP, pulls it back through again, looking for another victim, but oh, so awkward, tries to get away. Luckily, Shox is the bodyguard, and he will protect Kenny towards the back of the bomb site. Elige finished off, and Nitro, he'll not get anything. Good stuff there.
Bomb site bros for life.
Yeah.
Not leaving anyone in the dark. That's what you want to see from G2. So they do handle that eco without too many losses. And there we have it. And now, as we're waiting for the two teams to get going again, for you guys at home, if you didn't know, this tournament or this invitational is brought to you by csgo.net, or in part by them. And if you use the code Cologne on CSGO.net, you might have the opportunity. Well, you will have the opportunity to get 30% more balance and win some cool skins right there. And also, big shout outs to GG.Bet, the official partner, obviously, of the GG.Bet Cologne Invitational. And Kenny, well, he's got a very set idea in mind. He wants to create terror with the Team Liquid lineup.
Yeah, this is a scary sign moving forward for Team Liquid. Kenny S definitely being activated on the map pick of Liquid. So If he can keep this level up, there's definitely going to be a thorn in the side of Liquid. He's looking for a little bit more. Elige has picked off Amanek, but so unfortunate. kennyS looks away at the wrong time, and Elige is able to topple him. It's into the man advantage for Liquid as they start to move on in. Naf has got the AWP. Shox throws the Molotov. He's going to have a big hold here as Team Liquid start to come towards him. He'll just sit back in the corner, using the smoke as cover. And the pressure is starting to really ramp up on this A-bomb site. Well, there's a headshot for Shox. The first kill comes in. The bomb hits the floor. Nitro will pick him up with the AWP in reply. So Shox not able to get more than one. So it's on to Lucky and Jax. Bomb getting planted for Liquid here. And at this point, it's not looking great for their chances, but if Liquid end up making a couple of mistakes, overextended into the crosshairs, perhaps that's when they get a chance here. But, not really lucky in that one. It's kind of unlucky on that one.
I think that's fair to say, and then gets double peaked by 2 ops. Doesn't really make life easier. Jax is an MP9. He could potentially think about, well, throwing his life away, seeing if he can pick up a weapon, potentially take out one of the ops. In the hands of Liquid, but decides to think better of it. Does have a defuse kit, full Kevlar and whatnot in his hands, a deagle as well. Now he's heard, I think that's Elige. He's hanging out. He's not going to get tempted into a potential trap. So holds on to his weapon, so do Liquid. They've actually, reasonably enough, Naf decides to skip out on the secondary op. Double op on T side, Overpass not exactly